what are the major differences between living in Singapore and Thailand?
In Singapore, when you go out to say you want to hang out, it revolves around food. It's always over a meal, a coffee or something. But like here, you could meet up to go hiking, you could meet up to go play paddle tennis, you could meet up to go do something, right? Fun. But in Singapore, it's mainly every time you meet, it's all food, like try the next restaurant, whatever. So I find that to me, that's the biggest difference. But only thing is that in Singapore, the thing is that because we're more multicultural, that there are more options for different kind of cuisine. You have the Indian, you have Chinese, and within that, there's so many different things that comes within that ethnic group, right? But like in Thai food, if you go Thai food, it's Thai food. Northern Thai, it's all the same, it's just still Thai food.
Welcome to the Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. We are here in Phuket, Thailand with an absolute legend of a guest. It is Rebecca Lek, and she is working for Group. Now, not working for them, it's her own business. We're going to dive deep into that whole expat life. She is a Singapore citizen living in Phuket for a very long period of time, but we're going to let her reveal all that information, specifically diving into what's it actually like living in Phuket, owning and operating your own business, the ins, the outs, and the what have yous, and all those red flags. All those questions are going to get answered for you. So, without further ado, let's get this started with Rebecca Lek. Thank you.
Hi, Brandon.
Hey, how are you? Now, obviously, we're friends, so this is a bit easier. As I jump through different characters, I don't know why when you talk to the camera during the intros, these ridiculous characters come out. I don't know what they are. Are they like
for you or me?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, for me. Yeah. Don't know. And then you come back down to planet Earth. Well, first, thanks for jumping on before we move to Hua Hin. And,
pleasure.
Yes, we've probably known each other, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Phuket time it's not real, right?
I know. Like sometimes when people ask you about when, it's like, sometime like that. Somewhat you can't really figure out. Is it 2012 or 2013 or whatever that might be?
It's definitely before COVID.
Yep.
So there's 5 years there.
Yep.
So maybe 6, 7. Now you've been in Phuket since when? First, obviously I know you, but let's let the audience dive into your life. Let's go into the closet. Let's get all those bones out of there. Let's see what's going on. But let everyone know a little bit about yourself. Where you're from? What did you do in Singapore before coming to Phuket? So what actually brought you here, and what have you been doing here the entire time?
So what brought me here? I was actually hired by a Singapore company that at that point in time was in joint venture with some Thai business operating and kind of managing Blue Canyon Country Club.
That was the initial.
Yeah, so that's what brought me here in 2008.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's way,
so I've started working.
You're an OG.
Yeah, one of those surviving.
Yeah,
OG.
one of the OGs of Phuket.
Yeah.
Okay, so I came. So like I'm green to you. I came here in 2016. I'm the aftermath. Now, were you living up by Blue Canyon at the course at that time, or you've always kind of been in this Cherntalay Talang area?
Yeah, I was living inside Blue Canyon because we've got like everything paid for. Like accommodation, like laundry, food allowance, and all I had to do was to rent a car to bump around when it's my day off, right?
And there's no traffic back then. So
Nah, it's so easy to get to places,
Yeah, and Blue Canyon's probably one of the better golf courses on the island as well. So it's quite nice in there. I mean, there's tons of villas, and you get a lot of expats that you'll meet in there that have been living there for 20, 30 years.
Yeah, honestly, first to give it some light is that it was one of the top 50 golf courses in the world, most beautiful golf course in the world.
In the world?
Yeah.
It's a PGA course, Greg Norman course. Tiger Woods played there in 97, 98,
I don't know, I wasn't there. But I've seen photos of him, you know. Yeah.
What were you doing specifically for that job at that time?
When I was in Blue Canyon, I was hired to kind of run the business revenue department. And at that point, when I got in, it was fun. Like, we're just bringing people to come and play golf, do events, look at where are the places we could bring in revenue, And then one of those incidents, how would I say it? Like, things just happened. And then I was kind of like, oh, why don't you take over the director of operations? I said, okay, I've never done it before. Let's try it. And I got stuck doing that for 5 years, before I left. It was just too much. You're just running 9 different departments, from the front office to the back office, and you have to do everything. And you don't actually get to do your own work until after 5 o'clock, which means that you don't have a life, so.
Yeah, and Blue Canyon, I mean, it's massive. There's 2 golf courses there,
Yeah.
the canyon and the lakes.
Yeah.
Plus, they're always running events. I mean,
Yeah.
they must get... I always notice every time I'm there, like tour buses of like Japanese golfers coming through. Like the place is consistently packed.
Also, like it is for every golfer, you always say that, okay, I need to go play this golf course, just like a checklist, right? Like you would say, as a golfer, you must go and play at St. Andrews Links course. That's like a must for a golfer, right? Like a mecca. So I think it's like that. And also, bulk of the revenue comes from tourists planning to golf at one of those 2 golf courses. And usually you would, because there's only 5 golf courses in Phuket.
Yes.
Literally. So you have to do, all of them. And usually people would come play 2 rounds, right?
At which point did you kind of burn out, or how did you begin to exit that position?
After 5 years, I think you just got kind of like thinking there's actually more to Phuket. I should not always be working, and that's also a point of time that I was thinking that instead of playing golf almost every weekend after work, I should go do something else. And that's how I end up learning how to wakeboard. And then after that, making it into a business that I was owning and running.
Where was the first wakeboard park at the time? Was it run by the Japanese guy by the airport?
No, the first one was in Katu.
Okay.
The wake park in Katu.
Yeah.
So everybody goes there.
So that's where you were going all the way from Blue Canyon to Katu at the time. But actually, probably it was only 30 minutes then.
Yeah, it's easy ride. I mean, there's no traffic like now, right? You're not stuck in it. And basically, weekend is like there's no cars on the road. That's not that many cars on the road.
How long did that take to put together? I know, because I think maybe that's where we may have initially met, probably crossing paths. I was going to that wake park. It's, how to explain where it is? It's on the way to the monument on the right-hand side. I guess we could almost call it the Manic Dam area.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good reference, right?
Yeah.
Just by the Manic Temple.
Yeah.
So usually we said, like, get through the Manic Temple, that monument, sort of, and then you just keep going straight and it's on the left side. Because before we had the business, the trees that were up there, you couldn't see the lake. But after we started the business, the owner of the land actually cut down some of the trees around it. So once you drive through, you could actually see that there's a lake and you could see activities on the lake.
Now, is
so
it a water reservoir or is it a natural lake?
It's a tin mine. It was a tin mine before.
And then it just naturally fills in.
Yes, so it's like fresh water. So we've got the best setting in terms of that in Katu, because it was like a duck-out area. So the water is a little bit dirty. And I used to get sick like every weekend, and then I would recover by Wednesday. So I go wakeboarding at Katu on Sunday. I'll be sick for 3 days, and I'm well by Thursday, and then Sunday I'll be sick again because there's just all this. The water is
It's not being filtered.
Yeah.
and
It's just been there. It's kind of
Bacteria.
contaminated.
It's still water. It's not moving.
It's not going nowhere, and then no fresh water, and people do all sorts of stuff in there.
What recommendations would you give to a new business owner in Thailand in first starting up a company?
I think they have to understand the business. Usually people don't really go into kind of business that's related to more commercial wise. I mean, the business here, as you know, is either F&B business, a hotel, a rental business. What else is there? I mean, now maybe wellness in terms of the what you call that, the steam bath, the sauna, and then the ice bath business, whatever that the wellness business. Yeah, now there's this pocket where everybody is popping up with this kind of business, right? So.
Yeah, and then I mean, you're getting this business started. Is this the first company you've ever opened in your life at this point? So I mean, it's a new venture for you. There must be a lot of unknowns going forward. How did you kind of prepare for all that?
In terms of what?
In terms of actually setting up a business in Thailand and structuring it properly, and then determining where you're going to put the business and how are we going to structure our pricing and how do we market this and get people here. I mean, when you're initially setting it up in Thailand, you're starting with a fresh piece of paper and there's so much to get done.
Well, the first business that maybe we talk about the first business
Yeah.
that we started, which was the wake park.
Yes.
So
sorry. I am talking about
yeah,
the wake
yeah,
park.
yeah. Because I now start another
Yeah.
company. So okay, so that time, because every time when you want to start and do something, you're always trying to fill in like what are the services that people need, also matching what you like to do as in terms of business, because you have to do this every day. So it better be something that you really enjoy doing. So that's how we end up like kind of starting the wake park. Because when we were at Katu, I think at some point it was bought over by the Russians, and they were not so kind to the people that were wakeboarding there. Like they have kind of weird energy, and not only that, like they have this requirement that if you're coming here, if you're below like 12 years old, you need to give your passport to make sure that you are below 12 years old. But sometimes you could see the kid is definitely 8 years old. Why do you want to make them? And who carries a passport everywhere to go and partake in something that's supposed to be fun, right? It's not as if you're going to make it a driving license or whatnot. So, there are little things I say, they're kind of mean. Like, why don't we start a place that doing a hobby that we love, and we can bring in people that we like and make it a really fun place where people could do sports and hang out and make friends. That was how initially when we started the business, that was what we wanted to do for Phuket, like to bring in people that have same interests, get healthy, exercise, have fun, go parties together. That was the whole vibe that we were aiming at. So that's what we did. So.
Yeah, and I mean, this specific piece of land, how did you determine this is where we're going to put that?
It was actually recommended because we actually found it on Google Map. So deciding like, there seems to be a nice lake in that area. And we didn't want it to be too far away from where all the 5-star resorts are, because we also knew at the back of our mind that people that would come in would be the resorts around that area, right? And that seems to be a suitable, but also it has to be big enough so you could put on all your pylons, to make it like a stadium where you could actually have a proper distance to run a cable park.
You need especially with all that equipment and being able to make it work. I don't know if it existed back then, the where Woo Cafe is in that lake. Did that exist back then? Because I'm assuming that was probably also a tin mine. Did you take that into consideration?
I don't think at that point in time it was that big, but I think the water quality and also is not deep enough. I think it's quite a shallow lake, if I'm not wrong.
That business you're operating, it's obviously no longer running. Can you walk us through that entire experience to the very end of why did you decide to part ways with it?
So when we first started, that was in 2012. Yeah, it took us like 3 months to raise money and then to build this park. And at that time when we built it, it was fun because, there was only 2 wake park, right? So, and then the other wake park, the water was not as clean. And the wake park that we were running, it was like fresh water. It was even supplying water to the neighborhood, right? So that makes it ideal that, it was just a nice ambience and you feel the vibe in that area. And also it's within a residential area. So it was just something that you have this gut feeling that this is the place to run the business. And no doubt, like we felt that we would have loved to have more space to build more complex on it, but it was not possible for that piece of land. So we just went with it and started business there. So then again, at first when we started running with, was thinking like, where do we get the business? And also learning from experience about what the business in Katu didn't have was that they didn't have a training cable to kind of teach people, like completely has no idea what wakeboarding is. And we built a space whereby we could teach people how to wakeboard at first. Because even through my own learning journey about wakeboarding, it took me a year before I decided that, okay, I actually like wakeboarding. Because the first few times, how when you started, you just take the plunge because of the way that it pulls you. Is just like it yank you out of your seat.
Strong, yeah.
Yeah, and then you need to learn how to control your muscle in order to kind of like make use of the energy that was pulling you to get up, right? So a lot of time you don't understand this. So when you have the training cable, you try to let people kind of like, okay, this is what you're supposed to know, and then how to position your legs, how to position your bum, how to tuck in your core muscles, in order to leverage on this energy that's yanking you out, and then you take off, right? So I was doing a lot of that when it first started. I was training like lots of kids and whatnot. It was really fun, but it was just under the hot sun. After a while, you say, oh my God, this is a bit too much, because I was burnt perpetually, like every weekend. Not enough sunblock is going to help you with that,
No, and it's not like you can build some sort of dome cover.
No, I mean, you could, but it's going to be so expensive. But then also, like, you want to be outdoor, right? So it was really nice. So then we started kind of like teaching a lot of kids that now some of them have become really good wakeboarders, and they all started from this wake park, right? And so having that to put into before they get into learn how to go on the big cable, right? I don't know. Did you try starting on the
no
training cable?
I wakeboarded on boats in Canada.
So you know what to do.
Yeah.
So that's that. So then we started running the business, and then we just created quite a good community. And one of the fun things that I got cable park owners from all over the world, even like in Turkey, in Iceland, in Estonia, whoever, that knew about this wake park. They just learn about, because the social media does a lot, because we were posting content and whatnot, and people were having great time. And all the professional wakeboarders, as what they do, they like to travel to different wake park in a way to enjoy different cable park, and also to promote, themselves as an individual, right? So we have all these people that come through, and people were helping us, like organically. We were just generating quite a bit of vibe about, there's this fun place in Phuket that you can go and wakeboard.
Yeah, and then eventually the rock climbing appeared as well. Were you guys part of that, or is that separate?
Not me, though. My business partner actually started the rock climbing park on his own.
I'm assuming at this point you're leasing or renting the land essentially from a Thai landowner?
Yeah, leasing for sure.
Is there any option at that point where it could be purchased, or they didn't want to sell?
Nah, like a lot of Thai owners, they always feel that the moment they sell it, they're losing money. Because the land prices keep going up, especially like around that area, like now, it is worth a lot of money. So in a way, props to them, they were very smart to not sell it.
That land in that area, since the time you would have been there, is probably 3x, maybe 4x.
Yeah, exactly.
Price per rye as well. Yeah. At which point the business did stop operating. Are you able to discuss that? What happened exactly, or?
Well, COVID came.
So COVID was the killer on that.
Yeah, exactly. Because we were paying almost about 300,000 baht a month to rent a place.
It's probably four or five rye. No, maybe more. It's huge.
No, but then again, it was just all water. Yeah. In terms of usable space to build anything, it wasn't there.
And
so it was just
300,000 a month.
Well,
steep.
Yeah, that was what we were paying. So we wouldn't go into the reason why we end up paying that price.
Okay.
Something has happened there, but
yeah,
yeah. So it was really expensive, and that's excluding like paying for manpower and.
Yeah, and when COVID hits, I mean, you got to dish out this cash every month. If people aren't coming in, it's going to be you're no pun intended, you're going to drown.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that if you have no money.
Once COVID hit, how long did you guys try to keep it going until you realized this is going to be almost impossible now?
Oh no, just the moment COVID hit, and it was just timely that it's time to kind of exit the business. And we didn't even sell the business or anything, because who's going to buy the business, right?
What did you do with all the equipment?
I think it was sold. My partner sold it. Okay.
And why has no one else? I'm very surprised no one's put a wake park there since then. I think it would do very well right now.
The thing is about doing that is that I think it costs a lot of money to set it up. And you also need to have people that know how to maintain the system. So it's not as if you run it and then there's no maintenance required. So, and I think the expertise is also something that needs to be considered. If you have money but you don't know about this business, it's not easy for you to maintain it. And it breaks down from time to time when just during the day of the operation, right? And then if that breaks down, everything has to stop, right? So
yeah, it's not like you can have a backup line running.
No.
Was it usually the actual mechanism running that was breaking?
Yeah, it could be that, or it could be the sling that was hanging onto the cable that was just loose or whatnot, and somebody has to physically climb up there to sort it out.
Wow.
So you could be like taking a half day break, that nothing can happen until it's fixed.
What about for liability insurance? Like if someone were to be seriously injured or killed or anything, like were you completely protected?
Yeah, we did buy insurance, but then that doesn't dissolve you if something really bad happened. But lucky enough that in the 6 years that we're running the business, nobody was seriously injured other than getting cut by falling off the obstacles that they cut. Some of the protruding edge, or the plastics, So that was that.
Yeah, I remember. I think I talked to you many years ago. I was interested. I'm like, they used to have in Koh Phangan this, I want to call it a wipeout park.
Right.
But full on, I would go just to Koh Phangan to this wipeout park. It was like a ninja park. Purely for the exercise. You ran through this thing 3-4 times. You didn't need to go to the gym.
Right.
And that was exciting. It's like you're exercising, you're working out, and then I messaged you, hey, where do you get all that blow-up equipment? But you were telling me that one of the problems with the blow-up equipment in that area is in the morning, there's snakes all over it.
Not snakes exactly, because you get like things hiding around that area. You don't know, right? Because you're living in the wildlife, like you're surrounded by wildlife, right? So you don't know what's creeping up, right? Of course, like good enough, we don't have crocodiles or whatnot hiding in there, but it's just mainly snakes. But then again, it's not as if these snakes are poisonous or whatnot, but not so much that. But I think the conversation we had was also about maintaining the equipment in that sense, because we are under extreme weather, right? It could be stormy, and then it could be so hot, and then and these are still good quality, like they're still polyurethane, but they expand, they contract, and then it breaks down, and when they tear, it's very difficult to fix them.
And it's quite expensive as well.
It's not exactly that expensive, but it's very heavy to move them around.
Yeah, you're telling me like over 500 kg, like a ton.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, you wake up in the morning and then you find, what is this part that came off and this flew on the other side of the lake? So you could tell that the wind gusts that comes through at night, even, at night you don't know what the weather holds, Sometimes it could be really windy and it just blows things out of place.
Right.
And then you have to spend the next morning trying to bring it back and put them in place again, right?
Are you still wakeboarding in your pastime?
And no, not really.
Any reason? Or
no, nothing particular. But would I go wakeboarding? Yes.
Maybe this podcast bringing you here is going to get you back into.
Yeah, it's just like I haven't played golf for a long time. I haven't wakeboarded for a long time. But does it mean I won't do it ever again? No. I mean, if there's an opportunity and there's some fun people say, hey, let's go do it. I say, okay, let's go. So I'm quite up for doing all this stuff. Yeah,
I was loving the wakeboarding. I find it's a hell of a workout, especially on your quads. I remember you had one corner that was challenging.
Yeah.
It's like when you come out that left corner.
Yeah, it's a sharp corner.
I would always eat it there because you had to know how to take it with the tension.
Yeah, you got to lean back a little bit and then
But after, if you were there for an hour, I found like my biceps, my arms would give out where I couldn't hold it. And that corner, oh my God, you get a workout just walking back.
Strength training. I just need 20 more minutes of that. Like just go 20 rounds and now I feel so buff. Yeah. And that's all you need. But at that time, because I was owning the place. So for 20 minutes, I run around. I don't have to pay like 2 hours just to get 20 minutes of exercise, right? So that works perfectly for me.
From that experience and going through COVID with that business, everyone was kind of in this turmoil in Phuket, especially of the unknown. I mean, we are in half the time our visas are canceled. We don't know what's going on. You're hoping your passport doesn't get expired.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about your experience during COVID and coming out on the bright side of it and then starting your new company?
So during COVID, I was thinking that, hey, because I've been in Phuket for quite a bit, and I knew that people always need help. So during COVID, I was planning to say, let's raise some money and help some people that, need to get through this tough times, right? So I just did a small little charity project where we raised money together with Kun Noi from Swai. And then we raised a bunch of money, and then we started doing buying all this necessity provision, and then we gave away to the campsites that we knew that people were going through tough times because they don't have jobs, right? So that was something that took 6 months, and then when I was about to say, okay, that's enough, and people gave me a bunch of money, I said, oh no, I have to keep doing it, So then the counterpoint was that I said, okay, by the end of 2021, I should just stop this project already because it was too tiring because at that point in time, I was also working with Blue Tree, right? So I was working Monday to Saturday, and then Sunday I'm out doing charity work. So it was a lot for me. Like, and I didn't have a break at all, in the week. Yeah. So then again, I after COVID period, I was still having fun because I was out and about. Because when you do charity work, you get like the special pass to cross border. So you could like send them this pass. Like, ooh, okay, I'm going to send this stuff, and then the police would let you out. Like,
because they had the checkpoints.
Yeah, the checkpoint. Yeah. So I've got like a special pass to get around and then to buy provisions, whatever that was, and it was really fun because there was nobody on the road.
Yeah, I don't think the border stops, if you want to call them that, they weren't there that long. Maybe like that part, I think it was just a month and a half or 2 months.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the entire time.
And not that, but there was different restrictions of not doing this, not doing that. But, as it is in Phuket, I mean, we were quite lucky enough that we could still go places. And I was still going to the dam to go get my exercise with my dog, and saying hi to neighbors. And when we're walking in the neighborhood, nobody's that afraid of each other because we knew each other, right? So,
quiet, yeah.
So it was so quiet. We could play like badminton outside our house, just go, skateboarding. So it was fun for me. I mean, I love it during the COVID period.
Yeah, I wish sometimes we would have that back, but at the same time, there was a lot of the unknown of. I wish, like, I think I've said this before, that when COVID started, they just told us like when it was kind of going to end so we could enjoy it. I found there's a lot of days where like you're living in that limbo, like what's really going on? Like, is everybody coming back? What's going on here?
But the fun part was also one of the fun things that I did was during COVID, like within the period, the tail end of it. And then I was hired by Blue Tree, because I know the owner of Blue Tree, right? Christine, she was really kind to me, and she said, "Hey, come work for me." I said, "What do you want me to do? Like, you have so many stuff. You have like 300 staff. What would I do for you that you really want me to go work for?" He said, "Just come." So I went on board, and I was looking at it. I said, "This is such a nice place to create a big event." Then I just create the One Sao Market for them. I don't know whether you've come to any of the events yet. Yes, so I built that event up and called it the One Sao Market. People would say, "Why do you call it One Sao?" I said, "So tell me what is One Sao." Then they say, "Oh, what is One Sao?" I said, "Saturday." So then it has the flavor, it's Thai, and then people, when they ask what it is, Saturday, and then it sticks in your head that it's a Saturday market because we already have a Friday market right at Boat Avenue. So it was such a fun event to create, and and that's when I saw there's just so many people in Phuket, because the first event I was thinking maybe a couple of people would show up, and the first event I did, it was like 1,500 people showed up. And everybody was surprised at where did all these people come from? We thought all this expat has left, right? And then the second event I did was like 3,000 over people showed up. So it was crazy, but it was fun as well. There was a lot of hard work going into it.
Is this also operating at Blue Tree, or it seems like, they've closed down the water park, so I'm not quite sure what's been going on there.
Yeah, I think they were trying to build a wellness center, but that's the hearsay. I don't know what's been happening.
There's a lot of hearsay. Some people are saying villas.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need more villas, please. No. Anyways, I'm leaving. So.
You don't care.
Yeah. The whole Blue Tree is Christina. She's still here or no?
She travels quite a bit. Yeah. So I think it's still owned by her, obviously, and she has a team of management people that's running the place on her behalf. So I think they're planning something. I hope it's something nice. It's something that what Phuket needs. I mean, it's sad that, it took such a long time for them in the coming that now people use Blue Tree as a reference. Like meet at somewhere near Blue Tree, like everybody's now putting on there. Yeah, it becomes a landmark, and sad enough that now it became a landmark. They actually closed down the most important of the aspect was the theme park, right? Or the water park, that is. But sometimes things happen, right? Everything is about timing in life, right? So then again, having said I was working for them, and then like 3 months after I started the One Sao market, I was promoted sort of to kind of work in the retail commercial area. So that's when we started renting out the space within the office space area.
Were those rented at that point in time? Things move too fast here that it's always hard to remember.
At that point in time, no, because, we were still in somewhat like a limbo in terms of restriction, what you could do, what you couldn't do. So people were a little bit skeptical about like investing this money because nobody knows when the tourist is going to come back, right? So, but eventually now I think they got some good stuff going on there. Like Batel is there,
Yeah.
and that's the one place. But the only thing that I think they should have things that could run into like later till 10 o'clock because everything shuts at 6.
Yeah, that's what I've always
Yeah.
said. If they expanded it and made it a little bit more nightlife, I think nobody would go to Boat Avenue. I mean, the ability to set up some live music, couple outdoor restaurants and bars, and have the right feeling.
Yeah.
I think it would draw a bigger crowd. There's better parking there.
Yep.
Meaning, if it was more, it seems very like even a Friday night. If we go there Friday, Saturday night, it pretty much closes down after 7 p.m. Like everything starts to slowly shut down.
Yep.
I think you'd need the right restaurants in there, and nothing against the Russians in that sense. It's just a lot of Russian restaurants, and it seems they're not as busy at that time. So I think Blue Tree actually has the most potential in this whole area. They're just not. I don't know what they're doing, to be honest.
Well, maybe something is they're planning in the pipeline that that both of us may not have previewed to, but I think they should be planning something at this point.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the best place around here, and again, purely for the parking. I mean, this is the issue now with Boat Avenue.
I avoid Friday.
You can't get in there.
Yeah,
no. Well, we have to go on the motorbike, and the motorbike is a nightmare to find parking as well. So you're working with Blue Tree. At which point did you begin to transition back to operating your own business and setting up what you're currently doing today?
Right. So so right after Blue Tree, and then I left. And I decided that, hey, I mean, I've been here for a while. I should be able to be on my own and also like do things that I like, and things that I would like to expend my energy on. So then I started my own company, which is, and at that point in time, do I know what I was doing? Not exactly. I knew what I could be good at doing, but then also in Phuket, you got to know like what do people need you for, right? So, and the first thing that I did was that I feel that, there's somewhat missing. It's a nice wellness resort that is available in Phuket, which is closer to our area. Because a lot of this resort and wellness related are all down at South, but we don't have anything up on our area here. So then when I was in Samui, I chanced upon going to this place called Anahata. And then, had a discussion with the owner of the brand, Simon. And then for some reason, it kind of planted the seed in his head. And then probably about 3 months later, he called me and said, hey, I actually found somebody that's willing to invest in the business. And maybe we could start something in Phuket. And so from then onwards, I kind of created like this, looking for a hotel that we could actually run this business in, that we could leverage on, because we're not going to build a whole new hotel or resort just for that, right? So I spoke with Twin Palms, and they were happy to bring our brand in, and we now still operate the brand together with Twin Palms, where we bring in customers from all over the world, from France, Australia, US, Canada, Shanghai, people coming from all different continents that come through. And mainly these are people that wants to, kind of reset their life. And I'm always the first contact when they come through, that I would organize the daily activities, from the moment they wake up till the time that they're about to rest, and also all the planning of what it entails for them for the whole day. So I've seen a lot of miracle recovery, like even though, and that's also why it brought me into to begin to feel that, oh my God, I should look better, take better care of myself, because, eating well is so important, that you see that from someone. Like I've actually had this guest that came through, and, when I first met him, he was trying to walk. He was in his 70s, and he's got joint pain all over his body, and he couldn't walk, and he had to use like an umbrella stick just to help him, to hold him in position. And he was telling me that, Rebecca, don't try and make me do any exercise because my entire body is hurting. And I said, okay, don't worry, you lie down and we will exercise for you. So we went to the station, we were like trying to raise his legs up and everything every morning when he was doing his exercise. And of course, to put him on a, not like a diet, but more so like on a lifestyle change of what he would put in his body.
He was very obese, or?
Yeah, he was like everybody else that you see, like a little bit,
But
rounded
lots of
on the waist
inflammation.
area. Yeah, but it's just the pain in between his body, right? All the joints and whatnot, the inflammation in his body. That was killing him, his back pain and stuff like that. So going through that, so we put him a lot of fruits and vegetables diet. And after 4 days, he ditched his umbrella walking stick and he said, Rebecca, watch me. And then like as where we go to the spa up in Twin Palms, you have to walk up like 2 flights of steps, right? And he said, look, just look at me. He walked down without the help of a walking sticks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And as more and more guests that comes through, that I see the transformation from the first day till the day that they left, I said, oh my God, like I really believe like food can change your life.
Food is
just
medicine,
eating
yeah.
well. Yeah, food is
Where
medicine.
was he from?
He was from Australia.
Australia.
Yeah, but then again, we also have like now a lot of people coming through from Jordan, from Abu Dhabi, from Saudi, that coming through that I think like it has helped them because now the business has also gone abroad, because of all this thing that they've experienced. Now they want to bring it back to their home country. So through all this, doing this, and then how was I able to do this? I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have my own company or set up, because foreigner, you're not supposed to work, without having a valid papers, right? So that was the first thing that I did, was to bring in this brand, right? And soon after, like at the moment now, I'm doing some like contract work, like 3 months, 6 months working for a corporation that needed me to do some services for them. And one of them would be like Botanica. So I've just got I've completed my 3 months with them, just trying to conceptualize the different things. And I've got like an extended contract for 6 months now to build on another area where you might have seen it, like we were talking about it, like driving towards the airport. There's this area called Prujampa.
Yeah, it's like the best way to describe it. It's through, let's say, I guess like Bangzhou, what we say, or Bandung.
Yeah, from the Bandung area.
Bandung,
Yeah.
and then the airport back road.
Yeah.
They're building way out there, huge properties
Yeah.
with Botanica, and many people who have driven through there, such as myself, you go, this is great, but where do people go here?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where the Four Seasons is, the Botanica Four Seasons. So we're building a little commercial area so that we could, have some luxury kind of services that could go on there, like day to day, whatever people need that lives around that area. So now I'm going to create that area. So it would be very family oriented. That's where my focus would be, is to bring in people so that they have a little community mall that they could hang out
Have
at.
they started building out the commercial area essentially it's being built for those locations, because there's so many villas that are going to be built there, and people, they're going to need a closer place to go to than Boat Avenue.
Yeah, for sure. And also like just a different area to go and hang out, right? So that is already planned, and I think the targeting for 2026, at the end of 2026.
Villas, commercial, this whole thing will be complete.
Yeah,
there.
it should be done by then. But there's also other properties that are up there, like other developers that are building around that area. So I think that would be a fun area. You know the thing about like Boat Avenue and whatnot, if people had the foresight, I think we wouldn't have had the problem that we have now, where it's just chock-a-block, jam throughout the whole day. Because there's just not enough access road to go in and out.
And even
right?
there, these are country roads.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're fit for motorbikes,
yes.
not for big cars.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's always going to be the challenge there, and it's interesting to even think like, what would we call that area? For example, we got Laguna. Now we call this Pasak.
Yeah.
The area is kind of developed out of the road name, essentially.
Yeah.
What is the name that area is going to get? If you want to, hey, this might be the official coining of the area right here.
Well, the property there, it will be like, as it is like Botanica, because of the brand, they have a lot of landscape, a lot of greens that they promise, and that's why people buy into it, because it's not like, you're not going to buy a place where like next door you're going to see the building next door. So there's a lot of green that's surrounding each of the villas. So that area would be like somewhat called the Green Boulevard.
Does it have a name? Like for example, you have Manik. Manik has an area. Yeah, Bang Tao. Yeah. That area, like right now, I would just call it the airport back road. I don't even know if it has a name on the map. Would it? Like,
not yet, but it will be.
Yeah.
So like we love to coin a certain area, but from what I know, we might call that area the Green Hemisphere.
The Green Hemisphere.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that probably becomes a lot easier because when people ask where I live and these more Thai names get a bit confusing, right? I'm at Pasak. Well, Pasak, there's about 13 Pasaks. Yeah. Where are you? Now Pasak is kind of becoming the Pasak 8 road. Yeah. This whole area.
Same thing like people always say that close to Bang Tao, but it's such a long, like where Bang Tao?
Yeah, I mean, Bang Tao is one of the biggest beaches on the island.
Yeah.
From Lion at the north to the south. And traffic could take you 45 minutes.
Exactly. Even like traveling from Serene up to the police station at Gentle Lake could take an hour, you know, so it's crazy.
Now, you've always lived up in this area. Have you ever lived south? Like,
I've wanted to live at the south side because I know the south side vibe is quite nice, but I just never got to it because I'm just so happy at this area that I don't feel like I need to go anywhere, you know, to get what I need the whole day.
Describing, I mean, being here since 2008 to where we are today in 2025, the development in Phuket and specifically in this area, would you be able to kind of describe to the audience here that doesn't maybe fully understand how we have exploded from 2008 to today in the Bang Tao, Laguna, Cherntale area? How have you seen it develop?
It's too fast and too quickly and a lot of junk projects, you know, to be honest. But I don't know, like, how many more villas do we need? And how many more pools do we need in each of these villas? It's just a waste of resources putting this water in there that nobody actually wants to swim. And people put it in there just because they can sell it for more money later. So, I mean, but that's no shade. I mean, people should do what they need to do because it's a commercial reasons that they're doing that, right? So just talking about the landscape, I mean, a lot have changed, and you also knew well now that where not to live.
Yeah.
Because I would not choose to live in Laguna area, and that's the most priced area. So that's good for tourists, but to live in there, no way. Imagine getting out is so much trouble to get out of the area to go anywhere. Going home is such a stress to go home because the traffic is crazy. So, I mean, for people that live here for a long time, you know that's not where we want to live. Yeah. But then for people that goes on vacation, you say go there because that's the easiest because Boat Avenue is there. You can get all the services that you need.
And they can even walk around, to be honest. Yeah. Like there is footpaths there, which is good. I mean, in Thailand, footpaths become quite rare. And in that area, you could walk from if you're at Cassia or the Hilton or any of those hotels, the Sai. Yeah. You could actually walk to Boat Avenue in 5-10 minutes. Yeah. I know a lot of guys like that live at the Alamanda on the golf course. Yeah. And they cannot go out on a Friday night anymore because they can't get out of Alamanda to even drive their car to Boat Avenue. They just won't do it. Mm-mm. So now people are getting stuck. I'm surprised, though, that they don't bring back more life, even though there are restaurants there in that Laguna plaza in there. What's the name of, where there's
I know, Canal Village.
Canal Village. Yeah. I'm surprised they don't build that up because so many people, like if you're at Alamanda or Cassia or Laguna Park Village, like these places there, that would be an option now because you can't get to Boat Avenue.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
there's some Italian restaurants in there, I think.
Yeah. It's pretty good, I think. It's run by Robert, right? So, but I'm quite sure there's a lot of very brilliant people here that are thinking about all these opportunities, So we don't know. Maybe it's in the works that you might see it by the end of the year for the high season. Something's going to pop up, right?
Yeah, they grow this a bit better.
But having said that with the landscape, I actually like how it's going. I mean, despite you hating it, I actually love it because I think that it's bring city into an island, which is kind of unique. That would make Phuket even more unique. That you have a city life in an island.
Yeah, but for some people, for myself specifically, it's like I've lived in China, I've lived in cities, and I didn't want to live in a city.
Yeah.
I like that countryside feel where you can get on the bike and you can go 10 kilometers in any direction. It's very, like if you want to go 10 kilometers on this island now,
right?
You can't just go. I mean, even from here, Pasak to Kamala, Maybe 6-7 years ago, there's no traffic.
Right.
But now, past Acticamala, you're going to hit the police station and then the traffic, and you're in bumper-to-bumper motorbike traffic to just go 10 kilometers. So that's kind of the main reason where I'm like, I don't know, this just isn't for me. Yeah. But other people that are moving here, that's probably one of the reasons why they are moving here. It's they get the best of both worlds. You kind of get a city life feel. There's tons of restaurants now, way more than we had 8 years ago. And you have the ocean and the beaches. But the toss-up is the traffic. I think it's pretty much just turning into Bali now at that level. And like this Laguna area is kind of the Seminyak of the Bali. If you've been to Bali, I'm sure you probably have.
But then again, I think the infrastructure here is way better than Bali, I think.
In terms of the roads.
The roads, and also like hospitals that is easy to get to. That's they're all popping up, right? And also now it's the wellness center vibe that's all popping up in Phuket. So I kind of like the way that it's popping up like that, and you feel that if you wanted to go into and do city stuff, you could. And for me, where I live and, further closer to the monument, it's good because I don't get stuck in traffic. Despite everybody complaining about the traffic, I never get stuck in the traffic for what I needed to do because we always bump into each other in the morning doing our walks, right? So 6 o'clock and up, 6:50 I'm out doing my walks. By 8 o'clock I've done my 10,000 steps, and then I'll go do yoga, I'll go play paddle tennis, and the furthest I drive would be at Blue Tree, right?
Yeah, up here is great.
Yeah, so and that's where the traffic starts, right?
I don't think it's going to get too much busier up here because it's pretty spread out.
Yeah.
Even though they're building villas here, but all the villas they're building up here are more luxury.
Yeah.
So they're taking up more land,
Space,
more property, which means you're not going to get that many people.
Yeah.
What I'm surprised about is the prison.
Yeah,
that is the most expensive land in the
and it's a prison.
I don't think they anticipated it pushing this far that fast.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they moved that prison because that land there
with a lot of money.
That it's got to be the prison and the government land out there has to be. Well, you got almost 10 rai.
Yeah, it's huge in there.
Huge, and they're building you saw the commercial buildings across from the prison.
Yep.
There's all these restaurants in there. There's a gym in there now. There's Phuket Pro Nutrition. One of our clients is in there as well, and some restaurants. There's a Yuzi. There's a sushi place in there now. Yep. So they're really starting to build up here. And living in this pocket, it is comfortable. Actually, that's the main reason we left Surin Beach to come up here because you're out of the storm.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. You want to go to the airport, you can go.
Yep.
Before the issue was like, if you lived at Surin Beach and you had to go to the airport, you need to be very careful booking a flight.
Yep.
Because you won't get there in time.
Yeah, because you need to get through the jam, right?
Yeah. It's
but crazy. Where I am now, I mean, I can go to Katu, the back road. I can go cut across to the airport on the back roads. I find my ways. I know where to go. And now that Siam Paragon is coming, so.
Oh, where?
Towards the, as you drive from town towards the Robinson's Talang, just way before you could see like people layering the road before the temple. You saw on the left side before the monument, before hitting the monument.
On the left side, before Robinson's.
Yeah.
They're putting a Siam Paragon.
If I'm not wrong, it's already announced, so it's going to be huge.
We might get a bowling alley. I might be staying.
Yeah. Oh, you love bowling?
I think a bowling alley in Phuket is a great idea. And Siam Paragon has in Bangkok. The reason for that is the longer you live in Thailand, the more you don't want to be in the sun between 11 to 4.
Yep.
And then you get the rainy season. I think
indoor activities.
And the issue with the movie theaters today is every new movie is horrible. So back in the day, we'd go watch movies, but they're terrible today.
Yeah.
So you go to the mall, you'd eat, you watch a movie. I don't want to go see Minions 9. I'm sorry. And the other issue, or like another Marvel movie. And then the rest are and those are the movies you get here because they're more catered to the Thai audience. Right. You're not going to get, it's pretty rare you might get a Martin Scorsese or the new Quentin Tarantino movie, or it might be dubbed. But I've always said, and they used to have bowling alleys, but they had one in Junsalong, but it was terrible. They just didn't take care of it. Right. A bowling alley up here, I think, would absolutely kill it. Perfect time of the day. When the longer you live here, you don't want to go to the beach and the beach clubs. I got things to do. I don't want to be drunk, right? And that's kind of where everything leads to. Right. It's like, okay, what else are you going to do? Well, it's too hot, I can go golfing. That's manageable. But it's too hot. You're not going to the dam at 11 a.m.
Yep.
Right? You don't want to be like, okay, you're doing the wakeboarding, but you know how that is. 11 to 4, you're going to get cooked. And we used to, when you first move here, you drive the bike around and you didn't care 11 to 4. The longer you live here, you're like, okay, it's just too bloody hot to be out there. So I think a bowling alley is a genius. It's just super expensive. I've looked into it.
To build it as a business.
Well, if you built one as a business here, you need to buy the land.
Right.
Because the amount of equipment and the brick and mortar to invest in a bowling alley, you better own the land.
Yeah.
And the land's so expensive up here, right? So I've kind of looked at it to build a proper bowling alley, 8 lanes, own the land up here. You're talking about $2 million to $3 million US dollars. Yeah, I don't have a spare $3 million laying around.
You have other stuff to do. Remember, you're going to be a property developer.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. A fruiting body property, and each phase, one will be called Lion's Mane, the next one will be called the Reishi phase.
The different pods,
Yeah,
healthy pods.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that would be fun to add on to it. So, I mean, I think you can get everything here. Like, I actually really like it here.
You grew up in Singapore, so
Yep.
you've grown up in these big cities, but Singapore operates like a very functional city. It's not that hectic. Everything works very well. Is your family still there?
Yeah.
Do you get to visit quite often, or?
I'm so grown. I don't need my family all the time. But yeah, we talk on the phone and there's WhatsApp.
But I mean, do you go back?
Yes, once a year.
Once a year.
Even though it's so close.
Is that as well? Like maybe city life isn't just for you. Growing up there that long, did you enjoy living in Singapore?
I do enjoy living in Singapore, but it's just different. Like in Singapore, it's I had this discussion with my sister. It's like, seriously, like in Singapore, you don't live next to a gym, right? So you need to lock your stuff, and it's not easy for you to own a car because parking is really expensive, and so are the cars, right? And like here, you stuff all your things in a car, and then whatever, like you want to do skateboarding, you want to go wakeboarding, you want to go what, you can stop everything and you could just do them, right? But you don't have that. It's not as easy as in Singapore because you need to drive somewhere to go to a sports complex, and then there's a gym and whatnot. So which means that you got to luck around things all the time, and taking public transports probably, that's the cheapest way to get around, right? So I don't think I would have led a healthier lifestyle if I was back in Singapore.
Yeah, it's not as convenient just to get up and go and you're at the
Yeah,
dam.
to do things like, you don't do that the whole day, right? So you'd be 1 hour at the gym or 1 hour doing yoga, and then the next thing you might want to go do something else, right? So, you could just chuck everything in your car and then you have a home on the road, right? So then, that's how it is. Like, I really like it because it's so close to everywhere. Like 5 minutes, I can be hiking. 5 minutes, I could be at a beach. 5 minutes, I could be like out having a really amazing lunch with friends, right?
What about culturally? What are the major differences between living in Singapore and Thailand?
In Singapore, I think when you go out to say you want to hang out, it's usually very, it revolves around food. It's always over a meal, a coffee or something. But like here, you could meet up to go hiking. You could meet up to go play paddle tennis. You could meet up to go do something, right? Fun. But in Singapore, it's mainly every time you meet, it's all food. Like try the next restaurant, whatever. So I find that to me, that's the biggest difference. But having said Asian being Asian, it's almost the same, But only thing is that in Singapore, the thing is that because we're more multicultural, that there are more options for different kind of cuisine. Whereas like even like Singaporean cuisine, you have the Malay, you have the Indian, you have Chinese, and within that there's so many different things that comes within that ethnic group, right? But like in Thai food, if you go Thai food, is Thai food, Northern Thai, Eastern Thai, it's all the same, it's just still Thai food. So that mainly like in terms of food is a little bit different in that.
Do you miss that part of Singapore, the variety?
Not so much because I mean, I like food, but I don't like food that's too rich. And in Singapore or here, even like there's just food that's just way too rich. That's not so healthy, as that as you more learn about, nutrition, whatnot, that it's best to stay away from those food. Like they can only eat at lunchtime. Dinner, avoid at all costs, unless you're out entertaining. But otherwise, no.
Were you ever working at Singapore at a certain point in time?
Oh, yes, I was working in Singapore way before I moved here. But in Singapore, I was always working for resort and hospitality properties. And then I'm always based in the HQ, which is in Singapore. And then I travel to go Indonesia to work at the resorts like Bintan Lagoon. And then I also traveled from Singapore to Johor, Sinai to work for Palm Resort Country Club. So I was always working for country club resorts, right? So.
And the difference kind of if you're working for a Singapore corporation or just in general working in Thailand, the people you're working for, they have different goals, principles, maybe outlooks on how things should be done as well. Can you explain the differences of actually working in Singapore versus working in Thailand and those expectations?
Ooh, in Singapore, the one thing that I can remember vividly, you got to clock in your hours. You cannot be 5 minutes late.
So it's very like this is
regimental.
This is Chinese. Like in China, everything's timestamps,
Yeah.
almost like a factory worker.
Yeah. You have the HR that's so sticky about like being late and whatnot. So you have to be super punctual when you're working in Singapore. Otherwise it might cause your bonus, whatever that might be. But in Phuket, people are a little bit more relaxed. So I've always worked for pretty nice people in Phuket, so I never have any problem. And so have I working in Singapore. You just have to, keep within the lines. Everything is going to be perfect, and then you get your bonus, 3 months bonus at the end of the year. So that's perfect. But here you don't get bonuses. That's what I feel. Yeah, that's a big difference. In Singapore, if you do your stuff, you get your bonus. In here, you might get your bonus. So
they give you at least that incentive to work towards as well.
Yeah.
I've never understood the timestamp cards. They did it at our factories in China, but I watched them some days work like 12 hours overtime. It's like, okay, we stamped in. You're late 1 minute, but you work 95 hours overtime. We're deducted. Like it never made sense to me.
Yeah,
it's like, well, what about? I saw that guy just work like 9 extra hours. What about that? And I think what happens is it just gets stuck into that system.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, you're late 2 minutes, or.
But also, these people are doing their job so that they can get their own bonus, right? So
I worked for a Chinese company when I first landed in China.
Right.
And
what were you doing?
When I first got there, I was doing like point of sale systems. I just took anything I could get.
You're not in some call center?
No, we were selling.
You got a good voice.
Calling old ladies for their social security numbers. I worked for a Chinese guy, but he had a Canadian passport.
Right.
But now that I look back at it, he probably bought it.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Right.
And he was selling point of sale systems, kind of like touchscreens at the time. This is 2011, and then selling them mostly to the places more like Egypt, because they're not branded. Like the Western world, in Singapore, Canada, US, when you buy technology, it's branded tech.
Yeah.
But in places like Africa, India, Egypt,
Right.
they're just give me the cheap stuff. So he was selling that, and I remember we had a punch card, and that's actually one of the reasons I quit, because I would work late. And it was my first job, and then I looked at my pay, and they deducted it. We were making nothing at the time, maybe like 12,000 renminbi.
Yeah.
I was already so underpaid, but it was my stepping stone.
Yeah.
And I go, if I don't see the full pay on Monday, you won't see me Monday. He's like, well, we can't. I'm like, well, we're at a bypass. And I just never showed up again. And then he kept calling me. Are you coming? Because I was actually doing good work.
Right.
I was starting the social media, doing the marketing. This is the beginning. And that was the funniest thing I saw. I'm like, I remember being at this office with you till like midnight once helping you. And then they would deduct pay. So it's that whole level, like I couldn't understand. And eventually I ended up working for a Canadian company where common sense prevailed.
Right.
We worked till midnight last night. Don't worry, don't come in at 8 a.m. type of stuff. This doesn't exist in that in China. You work till midnight. You still got to punch in at 8, and they never recognized that.
Yeah.
Now, on your side, your family side, was it Chinese? Is it Hokkien or
Teochew? Teochew.
Can you explain that a bit?
It's just a dialect.
A dialect.
Yeah, it's just a dialect.
Where would they originate from in China?
China, I don't know, Swatao or somewhere. I don't really, because I don't know my grandparents that well, because they, you know how it is, like Chinese hierarchy, like you don't go to your grandfather, grandmother that often. You might see them once a week that you regimentally have to go visit. but you don't sit down and have conversations with them. You just listen to them what they want to tell you, right? So I remember vividly that at those days, my grandpa was smoking opium, I think, because every time I go visit him, I could smell that really distinctive smell, from opium, right? So, I mean, when they came then, I think it was legal to be doing that. And they still allowed these folks that came from, that were migrating to Singapore to be able to have access to all this natural stuff, right? So, but that's that. So I don't really have conversation with my grandma or grandpa that often to know exactly what heritage is. But like from listening to what my mom and dad told me, like we're from Swatao, somewhere in that region, right?
Now, your grandparents, did they end up living in Singapore, or they're just visiting?
No, they live in Singapore. Yeah, they end up living in Singapore.
Were they the first to migrate?
Probably.
And then your parents were born in Singapore as well.
Yep.
What is the difference between different cultures in Singapore, whether it's Malay, getting into from the China side or the Indian side? There's obviously distinct differences, and you would probably have friends and go to different homes and start to experience that. Can you touch upon that a little bit?
I think it's, cultural difference mainly is, first thing that you notice is the way they're dressed, that's for sure. And then secondly is the food that they eat. But like in Singapore, we grew up going to school whereby all our friends are a mixture of everybody, and you don't see them any different, just that they have different belief in terms of, some of them go to a mosque, some go to a temple, or some are Christians, right? But we never, we're growing up, we don't think that is a big difference in us. But now that you see all this, conflict in different countries, where that was kind of the reason why things don't go well with all these countries because of different belief. But in Singapore, we were never brought up like that,
Were you friends mixing well?
Yeah.
Like there was never, it didn't become like segregated
No.
naturally on its own. Like they hung out with them.
No, like when we have like different festive, like Chinese New Year, you would have Malay friends and Indian friends coming to your house to celebrate. Like if during Hari Raya, we would go to, Malay friends' house to celebrate, and we respect them because they wear this. So I think it just unconsciously, we just knew this is what we have to do. And also like dress appropriately to go visit people, right? So, so like in cultural difference, I don't think, of course, distinctively, the language difference, the food preference, and also like how they have different things that they need to respect, like the Ramadan, which like Chinese, we don't do that. We don't need to observe that. And that if your friends are going to Ramadan, you're not going to eat right in front of them. That's rude, right? So they're not allowed to eat, they're fasting and whatnot. So you kind of knew, and you don't eat pork in front of your Muslim friends. You would choose to eat a chicken dish or something else, but not in their face. So you learn at a young age to know how to respect all these different things.
Like sensitive to the culture.
Yeah, exactly. So I never felt like if I knew something, like even now, if I knew that my friends going out, they're vegan, I would choose a vegan dish, and I wouldn't intently go and eat a big steak, right? Because I know like that's kind of, it's not rude, but it's just out of respect to the people that you're having a meal with.
Yeah, and all these different cultures, this melting pot in Singapore, I think where they align is these core family values, where the families are all important, which is starting to disintegrate in the Western world. It's much different than I find coming over to Asia. As a kid I'm assuming you're going to elementary school there, did you guys always have jokes with one another? Like, well, my culture is this and my culture is that. Is there anything like internally, or did you guys avoid that?
No. That was never an issue, but that's how, I think you've heard of people saying Singlish, which is a mixture of Malay, Mandarin, Indian, like all mixed into one. And it's a kind of language that we speak that only we know. And is also very distinctive that when you hear them, you say, that's a Singaporean in Phuket, So that was the fun part, that we have our own, they call it rojak, like a salad.
Okay,
a salad. Yeah. Not just that. There's also the way like you say, let's go and lepa. Like let's go lepa is the Malay word, like just go and chill. But we knew, so like if you speak to Singaporean, they would know what it means, right? But if I speak to you, like, what the hell is lepa, right?
How would they answer the phone in Singapore? Is it like obviously English, hey, what's up, hello? Or is there something distinct in Singapore when answering the phone or talking to a friend? Like, I can't even remember now. What was it in China?
Wei ni hao.
Wait.
Yeah, that's hello.
Yes.
Yeah, wei
Okay.
ni hao.
So how is there anything distinct in Singapore when you're calling friends, and does it differentiate between different cultures?
No, not so much. We go, yo, what's up?
Really?
Yeah, that's what we would tell each other. Like, yeah, how are you doing, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, Singapore, you can, living in Asia long enough, if you're hearing someone from Singapore speaking English, someone speaking English from Philippines for sure, Vietnam or Hong Kong, you can quickly guess where they're from just by their English.
Yes.
As well. Is this something, living in Asia so long now, that you're able to, if there is an Asian person speaking English, you can immediately be like, I know where you're from?
Yep, exactly. Like, especially when I'm doing my grocery shopping and then somebody in the queue, right? And either they're in front or behind of me, and the way they speak, I'm like turning around like, are you from here? And they say, yeah. Okay. You kind of know. You could tell the difference.
If there's a lady with a shopping cart and she bumps you, oh, sorry, sir. Okay, Philippines. Like right away.
Sorry, sir. Ma'am.
And you probably got used to that a lot in the hotel industry. A lot of Filipinos, sir and ma'am.
Yeah.
It's just, that's
I like that.
part of the language as well. Okay, just before we wrap it up on the podcast, we've probably hit about an hour. I'm going to kick the camera back to you. You got this big lens to stare into the audience. If anyone did want to reach out to you for your services, or maybe just to say hello, maybe there's a young male out there. No, I'm joking. Anyone looking to
Are you accusing me of being a cougar?
No, I am not.
Like young man. Why wouldn't it be an older man?
an old Indian man. Are you happy?
Okay, I don't mind.
If you could, just let everyone know if they want to reach out to you on Instagram or in any which way, so they can follow up with the life of Rebecca. How could they reach out if you can stare directly into that big lens?
Yeah. So, hi, beautiful people. If you feel that you and I vibe and you want to hang out or connect, just look for me on Instagram. It's Rebecca Lek. That's my name. REBECCALEK. So, yeah, reach out for whatever. Have a coffee, tea, chat about business.
Yeah, we will leave her Instagram link in the description as well. Yeah. No weirdos, though. Again,
I don't mind, though. I do.
You got to be under only under 25. I'm joking. And any questions you have her as well. And she is very well connected on the island and knowing a lot of people. I should connect. Do you know Joey Angelis?
Joey Angelis?
Joey.
Oh, yes, yes, of course. Yes, I know.
Oh, okay.
I know Joey.
I feel like you guys would connect very well.
Yeah, I think we met each other, and also we've spoken a couple of times. When we knew each other, when we see each other, we would say hi, hello. So we know each other either on Instagram, on social media, whatever. But because she is all the way up south, and I'm up here,
she's like the Chalong version. But she's doing a lot of like events, and she has a restaurant she's running as well.
Yes.
Every time I think of Rebecca, I'm like, I feel like these two are the same. Like, in terms of just very well connected. You know everybody on the island, which I think it's very important in Phuket. You know, your network here is very valuable as well.
Yeah, I think so. It's also a good resource, right? Yeah. Like people that live here, they want to know how to live a good life. You know, I mean, we know the works of how to live well. So I think I would be a very good resource for people that are moving here, especially. Yeah,
any questions like that, if you have her, I mean.
And especially if you want to be healthy. Don't ask me to go out drinking. I'm not that. If you tell me like where you want to go, have an excursion, go sweat, exercise, I'm the one.
Well, there we go. I should be asking those questions. Okay, that wraps up another episode of the Fruiting Body Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments. Hopefully we get Rebecca up in Hua Hin. So all those comments, those questions, we can answer them up there. She's going to have to make a journey up to see us. I don't think we're coming back anytime soon. Yeah. Thanks for listening, and we are out.